So I'll go ahead and walk you through the three different components of the Security Center. We'll start with Security Health. And like I said, this is a tool to help you prevent issues before they happen. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we talked about this quite a bit before. But from this tool, Security Health, you can actually get recommendations really easily on these different security tools and security settings to help educate you and help you better understand the impact of these different settings. From any of those, you can dig in deeper and you can read documentation around them to understand the impact of these different settings. So that's Security Health. The security dashboards are the next thing I want to talk about. And by the way, all of these are available from the admin console under the security section. You can see dashboard, security health, and investigation tool. Dashboards and security health should be available to anyone on enterprise or enterprise for education. And the investigation tool is available through early adopter program once you apply and are whitelisted. So again, the dashboards help you get a high-level overview of these different metrics. And so, for instance, if I am interested in phishing, what I can do here is drill in, and then I can get much more specific on what I want to see. Whether it's spam, phishing, malware, suspicious emails that have come through, I can classify whether they were identified as such before they were delivered or after they were delivered to my users, so I can better understand the risk that was associated with those emails. And then below, what I can do is I can slice the data in different ways. So if I want to understand the subjects, the most common subjects that are coming through in these specific emails, I can do that. Or I can filter over to recipients, and I can understand who in my organization is receiving the most emails of this category. So in this case, the insight might be, these are the users that are most at risk from these phishing emails. I need to make sure that they have multi-factor authentication or security keys, or I need to work with them to make sure that they understand what these look like so they don't put our information at risk. I'll come back to the dashboards in a second. I want to introduce the investigation tool first and walk you through a scenario in that, and then I'll show you a little bit of how we're starting to tie these different components together to make it really easy for you to move from one to the other and complete more complex tasks that you're trying to do. So the investigation tool, I'll walk you through a full scenario on this one. The idea here in this scenario is that a user was hijacked and they sent out a bunch of malicious emails to users in your organization. You need to figure out who it went to, understand the breadth of the attack, and then remediate it and figure that out. So we'll walk through that here. So in this case, we're going to go to Gmail log events. The sender was Chad Tyler. The subject of the email was confirm, or at least it contained confirm login. And we want to see events that were received by users in our organization. Thanks for catching that. We'll do subject. How about that? That might work better. Oh, cleared me out. All right, back on track. Okay, so we'll query for that. And so what we're going to do is try to understand which of our users actually received that. And so we get back results, and it looks like 5 of the users in our organization received that email. And so from here, we can do some things like dig in deeper and view the headers. We can see, what the more detailed information around those emails look like. But we can also select those emails, and we can go down and we can erase them from the user's inbox so they don't accidentally click on them. And I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So we'll click there, and we make you be pretty explicit about what you're trying to do, and type in the actual number of emails that you're deleting, and then we click erase. And so what we've done is we've come in, we've entered a few easy parameters around what we want to do, and you can get pretty complex with how you want to find those emails. We've looked at who received them, selected them straight from this UI, and then we've kicked off a task. And you can see we just got back the result. All 5 of those emails were deleted. we give you back a lot of really detailed information per email on what was the result of that action, so you can understand and make sure that that threat's remediated. Additionally, one of the things that's kind of a cool feature, you can actually act on as many emails or documents as you want at once. So we've tested this up to the millions. Hopefully you don't have issues that big, but we can handle it if you do. So you can scale this to as big as you need to. And some of the things that we've done is we've integrated this into the long-running task pane here at the top of the admin console. So you can actually watch the status of your actions after you kick them off. So if you do something that's really big that's going to take a little while to finish, you can actually watch the countdown to when it's finished and how many there are that it's going to affect. You can also drill into the details. So when it's completed, if you had to leave this tool, you can easily click on View Results, and it'll bring you back, and you can see the more detailed results of what happened. And then, continue on if there are any errors that you need to address. In addition, you can also understand what other admins are doing within this tool. So for instance, if you're working and trying to collaborate with other admins or analysts on your team, you can come in, you can better understand what they've done, what tasks they've taken. So it actually looks like somebody else is working on the same domain right now. I didn't know that, so now I do. So hopefully I don't collide with what they're doing. So we've tried to really make this easy to understand and easy to follow. We've built in scalability. Ishai is going to talk a little bit more about some of those features and how we've thought about that. One other thing I want to show you, actually a few more things I want to show you. One of the concepts that's really important and that's really powerful in the investigation tool is the idea of pivoting. And so what you can do is you can actually select a column, and you can take as input all of the values in this column and bring it to another search so you can kind of correlate the data and better understand, for instance, in this case, what have these recipients that received this phishing email been doing in Drive? Maybe we want to understand if they've maybe been compromised, what have they been doing in Drive? And so what we're going to do is we're going to come down and say, I want to specifically see what these users have been doing in the Drive logs and where they were actors. So we're going to click on that, and it dedupes and brings us the 5 unique values. And then we're going to say specifically, I want to see if any of these users have changed a file that was internal and shared it externally. And so we'll query on that. And again, so what we're doing is we're taking these users that received the phishing email, and we're trying to understand what they've been doing in Drive. We get back 4 results. And we can further classify this if we want and put a specific date, so when that email was received, what happened after that. In this case, we'll just look at these. So we see that there has been some sharing on files called Do Not Share in future project designs. Those seem pretty sensitive. So again, we get very contextual actions. In this case, we're working with Drive files. So we can do things like change owner, remove specific users that have access, disable download, print, and copy so that these aren't pulled from our Drive folder and shared or copied or downloaded. And we can also dig a little bit deeper into the file permissions. So if we want to understand, for instance, what is the current state of those files, we can drill in here. And we can look at these files from several different lenses. The first is the files that were involved in our query and who has access to them. The second is looking at it from the people and what files they have access to. And the third is understanding the link sharing on those files. So are they shared publicly? Are they shared in a way that we don't consider appropriate based on the links that have been generated? And then right from here, I can say, A. Duncan should not have access to this. We can remove her. We can even come in and kind of act in bulk on all the users that are involved in that query. Same thing with the links. We can easily come in and say, this should be restricted. It shouldn't be shared publicly on the web. So you can correlate and act on the specific data that you're looking at. We could continue with this example. We could look at the user accounts. Do they have 2SV? Do they have security keys? When's the last time they logged in? What does that look like? We could look at their devices. Is there any suspicious activity going on with those devices? And kind of better track down, diagnose, and resolve these issues. A few final thoughts on the investigation tool. One of the things that we heard over and over again with the partners and customers that we worked with as we developed this is that privileges would be really important to this, and being able to be very specific on what users should be able to access when they're using the investigation tool. So one of the things that you'll see is we've thought through privileges and tried to make them very granular so you can adjust them to your specific needs. So in this case, you can come in, you can go by data source, and you can do read or write, and give admins the specific privilege that they need. So if you have a lower tier of analysts that you want to be able to diagnose things but maybe not delete a bunch of emails, you could do that. If you want to give full access, you can also do that and kind of mix and match based on the needs of your organization. Auditing was also something that was called out pretty frequently. So every query, every drill down, every action, every export that an admin does in the investigation tool and in the security center in general is audited so that you can see them, so you can basically watch the watchers. And then finally, one thing I want to say, I called out that I would come back to the dashboards. One of the things that we're working on is we're tying these various components together. And so you'll see this more and more, but this is a specific example that we're starting with that we heard would be very useful. And when we first released these dashboards, if any of you have had access to them and been able to use them, one of the things we got feedback around is that they're great. You know, they let us dig down to find issues, but the thing that was missing is we're not sure what to do with those issues, or how do we go and remediate those, how do we take care of those issues. And so what we wanted to do is really continue that task and make it really easy for you. And so you'll see that we're starting to tie the dashboards to the investigation tool. So for instance, if you're looking at the dashboards, and in this case you're looking at how users are sharing files, what you can do is as you drill down and see something that looks interesting, for instance, if we think this looks like an issue, what we can do is click here on New Investigation. And what that does is it generates the correct query in the investigation tool to show us that exact same data, and it kicks off the query to find it for us. And so we see here we are looking at 8 different results. We kicked off the query in the investigation tool. We see the same thing. And then we can go and select those, and we can do those same actions that we kind of just walked through. You can also pivot from these to other things. And so again, the idea is to just really remove the friction that might have existed before and start to work through that and make it really easy for you. And so that is the Security Center, the investigation tool that we just released. It's something we're really excited about. We've been lucky enough to work with some customers that have given a lot of feedback and worked with us over the last several months. We've refined based on their feedback, and we're excited to work with more of you. And so with that, I'm going to pass to Ishai, who's going to come and talk a little bit more to you.